How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Tesvav, Daf 115 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, your friends. Interesting Daf-ish, like it kind of relates somewhat to stuff we've been discussing, also adds some stuff. Says the Mishnah, Daf Kuf Tesvav Amud Aleph, I'd say even slightly more than halfway down the Amud. Seder Nachlis Kachu, thus is the order of inheritance. I think we got up to here. I don't know. Everything's kind of like a haze this week, like a blur of sorts. Seder Nachlis Kachu, Ish ki yomus uvein ein lo, vavatem es nachlos levito. Okay, so if a person dies and he does not have a son, so in that case, his daughter inherits him. Ben kodem lebas, but the son would precede the daughter. If there's a son, the inheritance goes to the son. If there's no son, then the inheritance goes to the daughter. And kol yotze yirecho shel ben kodem lebas, and not only would the son take precedence over the daughter, but his offspring as well. Okay, so even if when the grandfather dies, his son, he has a son and a daughter, but his son is no longer alive. But his son has a child, whether a son or a daughter, it doesn't matter. The grandchild will inherit the grandfather, not the grandfather's daughter. Now, if a person dies and there's no son, but there's a daughter, so the daughter inherits the father. And that takes precedence over the father's brothers. Yotze Yirecha Shel Bas Kodmen Lachin, and not only does the daughter take precedence over the father's brothers, but also any of her offspring also take precedence over the father's brothers. Where am I? Yirecha Shel Bas Kodmen Lachin, Achin Kodmen La'achei Ha'ov, and the deceased's brothers take priority over his father's brothers. Yotze Yirechon Shel Achin, and the children of the deceased's brothers, Kodmen Le'achei Ha'ov, also take precedence over the deceased's father's brothers. Right, meaning just like his brothers take precedence over his father's brothers, so also their offspring. Ze'aklal, this is the rule. Kol akodem benachla, that whenever somebody takes precedence in nachla, in inheritance, yotzei reichel kodmen, so then it's also their offspring, right? So if the son takes priority over the daughter, so it's not just the son, but all of the son's offspring. If the daughter takes priority over the uncles, so it's not just the daughter, but all of her offspring. If the uncles take priority over the deceased father's brothers, so also their offspring. So whoever takes precedence, it's them and all the way down. But the father is always prior to the children, right? So meaning, interestingly, in the Mishnah, we didn't say anything about the deceased's father, right? We talked about the deceased's son and his son's offspring, his daughter and his daughter's offspring, his brother and their offspring, his father's brothers, but we didn't actually talk about the father. So now, interestingly, we said that it goes the deceased son, then the deceased daughter, then his brothers, but we said the father always comes prior to his children, so therefore, Memele, the deceased father would first go, and then his offspring, which are, the deceased brothers. Says the Gemara, Tanabana, the rabbis taught, Ben, okay, so when the pasuk says that a person's son essentially inherits him, in the Ben, all I know is his son, Ben Aben, what about his son's sons, Obas Aben, or his son's daughter, Oben Bas Haben, or his son's daughter's son, his great grandchild. Minayin, how do we know about this? Ein lo ayin alav. Right, it says, when ein lo, we make a drasha, ayin alav, go look, see, maybe if he doesn't have a son, maybe he has a grandson. bas, when it says daughter, and the other bas, well, it knows the daughter, bas habas, I don't know that her daughter, uven habas, or her son, uvas ben habas, or her son's daughter. Minayin, how do you know this? From the same, I think it's from the same Joshua, right? That, right there, I guess, I wonder which ein lo this is. Is this uven ein lo, or is this v'im ein lo bas? Maybe. But ayin alav, do your research, and it's the offspring as well. Okay, tzad. Now, if we go upwards, so we just talked about how anybody who inherits, it's them and all their offspring. But if they don't have, so we go up a level, right? So, for example, when somebody dies, so we see, does he have any children? If no children, then grandchildren, etc. And if not, so and that's the son, right? We'll start with the son. If there's no son, then the daughter. If there's no son nor daughter, so then you go up a level. You go to his father. And if there's no father, so then we look at his children, i.e. the deceased's brothers. If he doesn't have any brothers, or I think it's only brothers. I don't think it's sisters. Yeah, we didn't see anything about sisters. Maybe it'll come up tomorrow. I don't remember. But yeah, I don't think it's sisters. Oh yeah, no, of course it is. Of course it's sisters. Yeah, right. That's the whole thing with inheriting your bequeathing to your nephew, is that your sister inherits you, and then they inherit their mother. And if not, so if there's no father and there's no brothers, so then you go up a level, right? You go to his grandfather, the deceased grandfather. And if he's already not alive, so then his children, i.e. his uncles, etc. So okay, so how does this work? Nachlim mimashmeshes ve'oleches, it keeps on going up a level, ad Ruvain, all the way up, till you get all the way up to the head of the tribe, to Reuben. Velema ad Yaakov, why not just go up one more level and say all the way up to Yaakov Avinu? Well, if you're going all the way up to Yaakov Avinu, then that means that Reuven's dead, which means that and there was nobody close, in the descendants. Basically, the whole tribe is gone, and Gemire, they'll call the shifta. Interesting that we don't lose any tribes. Interesting because we have like 10 lost tribes, right? I guess that they're not actually lost. Amar Avuna Amar Rab, this is Avuna Amar Rab. Kol Omer Tirash Bas Im Bas Habein. So if you're going to say that, okay, so we say, so what if somebody dies and he has a son and a daughter, but the son is not alive, but he has a granddaughter from the son, right? The son had a daughter, and then the son passed away. So now the father passes away, right? The grandfather passes away. So now he has a daughter, but he also has a granddaughter. Well, we said in our Mishnah that whoever inherits, i.e. the son, right? The deceased had a son and a daughter. So the son stands to inherit everything. Because when you have a son and a daughter, the son inherits everything. But the son himself is dead, but he has children. He has a daughter. So as we said in our Mishnah, that it goes, right, that whoever stands to inherit, their children as well stand to inherit. So therefore, the granddaughter would inherit everything, not his own daughter. Now, so Amar Avuna Amar Rav says, Avuna Amar Rav Kol Omer, if anybody says, Tirash Bas Im Bas Ben, that the daughter should split the inheritance with the granddaughter, i.e. the granddaughter doesn't get all of it, they split it. The granddaughter splits it with the daughter. Even if the person who says this is the leader of all of Israel, don't listen to him. Because that's the way of the Sadducees. As we learned, rather, all of it would go to the granddaughter. The Tanis will learn a brisa by above the Esim B'Tevis, in the 24th of the month of Tevis. Tavna Ledinina, we returned to our laws. Because the Tzdukim would say, Tirash Habas Im Bas Ben. So they would say, Taka, that the daughter and the granddaughter should split the inheritance. Nitpalain Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, but then Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, got there and he challenged them. He says, Shaitim, fools, minayin zelachim. Where do you get this from? That the granddaughter and the daughter split it. And there was nobody who could answer Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. except for one elderly individual who is challenging him. Ve'omer, and the elderly individual said, well, it's logical. Umabas beno, haba mikoach beno torishenu. If his granddaughter, who does not directly come from the deceased, it's the child of his son, right? Meaning the deceased had a son and a daughter. So his direct descendants are the son and the daughter. Now the son's no longer alive, so we're talking about his son, the granddaughter. So we're saying, so again, Umabas beno, his son's daughter, haba mikoach beno, who is inheriting him on account, right, but via the daughter's father, torishenu, and yet she would inherit the grandfather. Bito, his own daughter, haba mikoach, which is, it's his daughter directly. It's not twice removed like the granddaughter is. Lo kol shekain, certainly then, right, if the granddaughter is inheriting, the daughter should be able to inherit as well. Kara olav esamikra azeh. But, however, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai pointed out the following pasuk: Eile b'nei Seir Achori. These are the children of Seir. Yosh ve'aretz, those who dwell in the land. Loton v'shovel v'tzivon v'ano. Seir had 4 children: Loton, Shovel, Tzivon, and Ano. Those were his 4 children. But interestingly, it says Uchsev Eile b'nei Tzivon v'ayavano. That it says by Tzivon, it says that his children are Ayah and Ano. That's weird, because we just said that Ano is Tzivon's brother, but then we're saying that he had 2 children. One was Ayah, one was Ano. So was Ano his child or his brother? Both. Elam lam shabat Tzivon al imo. Tzivon had a baby with his mother. V'holid Ana, and gave birth to Ana, and therefore Ana is both Tzivon's brother, but also his son. Okay. Now, here's the thing. So what's pshat with the Pesukim? What the Pesukim are teaching is that even though Ana was Tzivon's grandson, not Tzivon's son, it was his wife's son that he had with his own son. Right? It's right. His son Tzivon had a baby with his wife. Ano has no relation. Right? It's not. I don't know. It's not Seir's son, and yet we're listing Ano as a brother. I.e., to say that what happened was Tzivon had died, and Ayah therefore inherited as one of the brothers. That's why he's listed among the brothers. So it teaches that the grandson inherits just like his father would have, i.e., as one of the brothers, one of the children of the deceased. Vidilma trei ano havu. How do you know though that it's the same Ano and that Tzivon had a baby with his mother? Maybe it's 2 people named Ano. One was Tzivon's brother, one was his nephew, one was his son. So Omar Rabba says, Rabba Amina Milsa, I'm going to say epis to Lo Amar Shvar Malka Omanu Shmuel. I'll say epis that even Shmuel did not say. That Shvar Malka didn't say, and that's Shmuel. Igdami Omar Papa Amina Milsa de Lo Amar Shvar Malka says, Papa, I'll say epis that even Shvar Malka didn't say. Manu, who's that? Rabba. Omar Kra, the pasuk says, who Ano Dimeikar. That pasuk says, Ve'ele b'nei Tzivon ve'aya v'Ano, who Ano. So who Ano means he's the same Ano in both places, as the brother of Tzivon as well as the son of Tzivon. Where am I? Fine. Omer lei Rebbe. So now the elder says to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Bechach ato potreni, this is the best you got. Omer lo, so Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says to the elderly fellow, to the Zaken, Shote, you're a fool. Velote Torah shlema shalonu k'sicha b'tele shalachim. Our complete Torah should not be like your silly words. Ma levas bino, right? You mean you're coming and saying that the granddaughter and the daughter split the inheritance. Why? Because, well, it's a kal v'chomer. if the granddaughter, who doesn't come directly from the deceased, rather through the child of the deceased, the granddaughter is 2 generations away, right? Twice removed, and yet the grandchild inherits. So certainly the daughter, which is his own daughter, should be able to inherit as well, and they should split it. But the thing is, the challenge is, no, I can explain why the granddaughter would inherit all of it and not the own daughter. Because after all, the granddaughter would inherit with the rest of the brothers, right? Meaning, if the deceased had, let's say, three sons and a daughter, let's say. So if he dies, so the 3 sons divide up the estate and the daughter doesn't get anything. So if one of the sons is dead, but he has a daughter, so that daughter would inherit just as if the son did. I.e., they would split the inheritance. They would still split the inheritance 3 ways. 2 would go to the 2 remaining brothers, and the other third would go to the deceased brother's daughter, while the sister would be getting nothing. So that kavachomer, that, well, if the granddaughter is inheriting, then the sister must inherit, isn't true. Right? So, right, malabas bino, that when it comes to the daughter of his son, sheken yofe kocha b'makom ha'achin, that she is able to inherit together with her uncles. Toma bebito shehura kocha b'makom ha'achin, while her aunt is going to get nothing. V'nitzchum, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai won that debate. V'osu hayom asu yom tiv, and that day they made it into a yom tiv. Hayomi, they said, Yerushas pleito l'vinyamin v'lemachashev v'misrael. This was after the story of Pilegesh Begiva, that many Benjaminites were killed, and so then Bnei Yisrael was trying to think, how do we make sure that there wasn't so many Binyamin people left? So how do we make sure that they don't go extinct? So Rabbi Yitzchak, the Rav Ami Melamed, Sheisnu al Shevet Binyamin Shelo Tirash Ben Abenim Achin, that they made an enactment that for Shevet Binyamin, the granddaughter would not inherit together with her uncles, because if she then ends up getting married and then dies, so then the inheritance from Binyamin ends up going to a different tribe, and we want to avoid that because we need to kind of rebuild Binyamin piece up.